The morning after Jace left for his deployment, I woke up to the sound of someone rearranging my kitchen cabinets. Not our kitchen, my kitchen. I'd spent 2 years organising it exactly how I liked it. Standing in the doorway in my pyjamas, I watched my mother-in-law, Francesca, methodically removing every dish and cup I owned. I'm Annika, and this is how I lost control of my home, before I took it back in ways that would make my sweet, conflict-avoiding husband proud. "Oh, good, you're up," Francesca said without turning around. "I couldn't sleep, so I thought I'd help organise things properly. Did you know you had your everyday plates mixed with your entertaining ones?" I bit my tongue. Those plates were arranged by frequency of use, not arbitrary categories. But I was too emotionally drained from yesterday's goodbye to argue. "Thanks for trying to help," I managed. She turned then, fixing me with that practiced smile that never quite reached her eyes. "It's the least I can do, dear. After all, you're living off my son?" The words hit like a slap. I'd been working as a graphic designer for 5 years, contributing equally to our household. But before I could respond, Carmen burst through the front door with another suitcase. "Mum, Nicholas is parking the car. Where should he put his stuff?" I froze. "Nicholas is here too?" "Just for a few days," Carmen waved dismissively, already heading upstairs. "I'm taking the master suite. You don't need all that space while Jace is away." My head spun. When Francesca and Carmen had offered to help me through the transition, I'd assumed they meant dropping by occasionally. Not this. "I made coffee," Francesca announced, gesturing to my French press. "Though, really, a proper coffee maker would be more practical. We should go shopping later." The front door opened again. Nicholas appeared, grinning his usual charming grin. "Hey, sis-in-law, hope you don't mind me crashing here. Mum said you were cool with it." I forced a smile, mentally counting the occupied bedrooms. "I'll just grab some coffee." "Oh, I used the last of your beans," Francesca said. "We'll need to get the brand I prefer. This artisanal stuff is really just overpriced." My phone buzzed. A text from Riley. "How are you holding up?" I typed back quickly. "They're here? All of them? Help?" "What do you mean, all of them? I thought it was just your meal stopping by?" Before I could respond, Carmen's voice echoed from upstairs. "Annika, where do you keep your extra towels? And the good sheets? These aren't high enough thread count." I closed my eyes, counting to 10. When I opened them, Francesca was studying me with that same artificial smile. "You know, dear, it's probably best if I handle the household management while we're here. You seem overwhelmed. It's understandable. You're young, and Jace always did spoil you." My phone buzzed again. "Riley, want me to come over?" "Not yet," I typed, "but stay on standby." Nicholas had sprawled across my couch, feet up on the coffee table Jace and I had picked out together. "Hey, Annika, got any beer?" "It's 9 a.m, I said. "It's 5 o'clock somewhere," Carmen called from upstairs. "Oh my God, Mum, wait till you see her closet organisation. We need to fix this immediately." The sound of my closet doors opening sent me rushing upstairs, but Carmen had already started pulling out my carefully arranged clothes. "This is not how you organise by season," she declared. "Here, let me show you." I stood in my own bedroom doorway, watching as my life was systematically dismantled. My phone buzzed one more time. "Riley, this isn't normal. You know that, right?" I did know. But as I watched Francesca appear behind me with a box of more appropriate kitchen supplies, as Nicholas channel surfed loudly downstairs, as Carmen continued critiquing my chaotic closet, I felt powerless to stop it. "We're family," Francesca said, patting my cheek, "and family takes care of each other. Now, why don't you start on lunch? There are 7 of us to feed. Gianna's arriving this afternoon." "Gianna?" I asked weakly. "Your cousin-in-law? Really, Annika, you should make more effort to know the family. She'll take the small bedroom. You can move your office things to the basement. I gripped my phone like a lifeline, Riley's words echoing. This isn't normal. But as I headed to the kitchen, my beautiful, now reorganized kitchen, I had no idea just how abnormal things would become, or how thoroughly I would eventually make them pay for every single moment of this invasion. 2 weeks into the invasion, I was folding my 7th load of laundry when I heard Francesca's voice drift up from downstairs. I'd developed a habit of listening. Survival instinct, maybe. She's so naive, Francesca was saying, living off Jace's salary, playing at being a designer. Once we get the power of attorney, we'll be set. She won't stand in our way. My hands froze mid-fold. Power of attorney? I crept closer to the stairs. But what if Jace objects? That was Carmen's voice. He's always been protective of her. He's overseas for at least 8 months, Francesca replied. By then, everything will be in place. Nicholas is already talking to the lawyers. I backed away silently, heart pounding. My phone was in my hand before I reached my bedroom. Riley, can you come over? Now? On my way. What happened? 20 minutes later, we sat in my car in the driveway, the only private space I had left. I played her the recording I'd managed to capture on my phone. Holy shit, Riley whispered. They're trying to take control of everything while Jace is deployed? Can they even do that? I don't know. I pressed my forehead against the steering wheel. But that's not even the worst part. Listen to this. I pulled out my journal, a small notebook I'd started keeping hidden in my desk at work. Monday, Gianna borrowed my laptop without asking, claimed she needed to check email. Tuesday, found Carmen going through our filing cabinet. Wednesday, Nicholas asked detailed questions about our banking setup. This isn't random, Riley interrupted. They're gathering information. A knock on the car window made us both jump. Francesca stood there, smiling that artificial smile. Annika, dear, are you planning to start dinner soon? There are 7 people to feed, you know. I rolled down the window. I have work to finish first. Work? She laughed lightly. Oh, your little computer projects. Sweetie, family comes first. We're only trying to help you manage things properly while Jace is away. Riley shifted beside me. Actually, Francesca, we were just heading out. Annika promised to help me with something. But dinner. There's plenty of food in the fridge, I said, starting the car. I'm sure you can manage. As we pulled away, I caught Francesca's expression in the rearview mirror. The smile was gone. At Riley's apartment, I finally broke down. They treat me like their personal maid. Yesterday, Carmen told me I was loading the dishwasher wrong. The dishwasher! In my own house! Have you told Jace? I've tried, but communications are limited, and every time I start to explain, something conveniently interrupts the call. I pulled out my phone, showing her the text thread with my husband. See? 3 dropped calls this week. Riley's eyes narrowed. Who handles the phone bills? Francesca offered to help with that last week. The realization hit me. You don't think... Check your call log against your actual bill, Riley suggested. I bet some calls aren't dropping by accident. That night, I returned home to find Nicholas had invited friends over. The living room was a mess of beer bottles and pizza boxes. Hey, sis, he called out. Hope you don't mind. The guys needed a place to watch the game. I walked straight past them to the kitchen where Francesca was making tea. Oh, good. You're back, she said. The dishes need doing, and Carmen mentioned her laundry needs attention. Something in me snapped. I'm not your housekeeper. Excuse me? You heard me? I turned to face her fully. This is my house. My name is on the lease. If you want to stay here, you can start pulling your own weight. Francesca's face hardened for just a moment before smoothing back into that practiced smile. My, such ingratitude after all we've done to help you. I wonder what Jace would think about this attitude. Why don't you ask him? I challenged. Next time you're not conveniently disconnecting our calls. Her teacup clattered against the saucer. I don't know what you're implying. Don't you? I headed for the stairs, then paused. Oh, and Francesca, Carmen can do her own laundry from now on. I'm done. Later that night, as I lay in bed, documenting everything in my journal, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Hey, stranger, heard about Jace's deployment. Want to grab coffee and catch up? Daniel. My ex's timing couldn't have been more suspicious. I showed the text to Riley. They're getting desperate, she texted back. Be careful, but also keep pushing back. You're stronger than they think. She was right. I was done being the perfect, accommodating daughter-in-law. It was time to start fighting back. The grocery bag slipped from my hands as I stood frozen in my bedroom doorway. Everything, absolutely everything, had been rearranged. The photos of Jace and me from our wedding were gone, replaced with generic landscape prints. His military medals, which had hung proudly on our wall, had vanished. We thought the room needed refreshing, Carmen announced from behind me. Those medals were collecting dust, so we packed them away for safekeeping. I spun around. Where are they? Oh, somewhere safe, she waved dismissively. Really, Annika, you're being dramatic. We're just trying to make the space more neutral. Neutral? My voice cracked. This is my bedroom. Now. Francesca appeared in the hallway. We discussed this while you were out. The military memorabilia was making Gianna anxious, and those wedding photos were a bit much. Don't you think it's healthier to focus on moving forward? I pushed past them and ran downstairs, checking every room. The living room had been rearranged too. The blanket Jace's grandmother had knitted for us was gone, replaced by some modern throw I'd never seen before. Looking for something? Nicholas asked from the couch, not looking up from his phone. Where are the medals? I demanded. And our photos? Mum packed them up, said they're safer in storage. He shrugged. Probably for the best. Place looks classier now. I was halfway to my car when Valerie, Jace's aunt, caught my arm. She'd been so quiet since arriving last week, I sometimes forgot she was there. Wait, she said softly, glancing around to make sure we were alone. I shouldn't say this, but Jace knew they might try something like this. Did he ever show you the paperwork? I stared at her. What paperwork? Before he left, she lowered her voice further, he came to me for advice. About protecting you. About the house. My heart skipped. What about the house? I've said too much already. But check your safe. The one in your closet? Jace mentioned it once. She squeezed my arm. And Annika? Don't let them see you looking. I waited until 2 a.m. when the house was finally quiet. The safe was still there, hidden behind my winter coats. The one place they hadn't reorganized yet. My hand shook as I entered the combination. Inside, beneath our passports and birth certificates, was a folder I'd never noticed before. The deed to our house. I pulled it out, reading by phone light. My name. Only my name. Sole owner. The paper trembled in my hands. Jace had transferred the house to me before leaving. He'd known exactly what his family might try. My phone buzzed, a text from Carmen. Mum says breakfast is at 7. She needs you to pick up more groceries first. I didn't respond. Instead, I took photos of every page of the deed, then carefully returned everything exactly as I'd found it. Sleep was impossible now. I sat by the window, watching the sun rise, my mind racing with possibilities. At 6:45 a.m., I walked into the kitchen, where Francesca was already holding court. There you are. We need eggs, and Carmen wants those special bagels from... No. The word came out calm, steady. Francesca blinked. Excuse me? I said no. I'm not going shopping, I'm not cooking breakfast, and I want Jace's medals back. Now. Don't be ridiculous, she scoffed. You're acting like this is your house to... It is my house. I met her gaze directly. And I want the medals back by noon. Carmen appeared in the doorway. Mum, are you hearing this? She's becoming unhinged. I think, Francesca said slowly, we need to have a serious discussion about your attitude. Perhaps it's time we called Jace's commanding officer about arranging that power of attorney. Clearly, you're not coping well. I smiled then, the first real smile in weeks. Go ahead, make that call. I'm sure they'd be very interested in hearing about how you're trying to seize control of property that isn't yours. Property that isn't? Francesca stopped short. Something in my expression must have registered. What do you mean? Noon, I repeated. The medals. And everything else you packed away. Or we can have a very different kind of conversation. I walked out, leaving them staring after me. My phone buzzed again. Riley this time. Still on for coffee? Yes, I typed back. And Riley, bring your lawyer friend. I have some questions about eviction notices. The game was changing. They'd thought they were playing chess, carefully positioning their pieces, but they'd never bothered to check who actually owned the board. So, let me get this straight, Riley's lawyer friend, Marcus, said as he reviewed the deed over coffee. Your husband transferred full ownership to you before deployment, and they have no idea? None. I sipped my latte. And now they're trying to get power of attorney while he's away, which would be meaningless regarding the house, Marcus smiled, because it's not his to control anymore. It's yours, free and clear. Riley leaned forward. So she can evict them? With proper notice? Absolutely. He pulled out his phone. I can draft the papers today. Back home, I found my bedroom door locked. Carmen was waiting in the hallway. Mum thought you needed time to cool off, she said. Your behaviour this morning was completely inappropriate. I pulled out my new keyring. I'd had the locks changed on my bedroom door that morning. Move. Excuse me? The lock clicked open. Inside, they'd been busy. More photos gone, my desk cleared off, even my laptop missing. Where's my computer? I kept my voice level. Mum's keeping it safe until you're more stable. Carmen crossed her arms. We're worried about you, Annika. The emails you've been sending Jace, the way you're acting. What emails? The ones where you complain about us. Mum found them in your drafts folder. She shook her head. So ungrateful. My blood boiled, but I maintained my calm. Get out of my room. This attitude. Get out. Something in my tone made her step back. I closed the door in her face and locked it. My phone lit up with a text from Daniel. No response about coffee. Come on, we should talk. Lots has changed. I blocked his number. That evening, I didn't cook dinner. The family gathered in the kitchen, waiting expectantly, but I stayed in my room working. Around 7 p.m, Francesca knocked. Annika, everyone's hungry. There's takeout menus in the drawer, I called back. This is childish, she snapped. I need to open this door immediately. I did. She stepped back, surprised. My laptop, I said, now. I'm doing this for your own good. You're clearly not thinking straight. Fine, I pulled out my phone. I'll just call the police and report it stolen. You wouldn't dare. Try me. 20 minutes later, my laptop was back. I immediately changed all my passwords and enabled two-factor authentication. The next morning, I got confirmation from my lawyer. The eviction papers were ready, but I wasn't done gathering evidence yet. I started small. Refused to do their laundry, locked up the good coffee, took down their family photos from my living room walls. Each act of defiance was met with increasing hostility. Mum, I heard Carmen say one evening, she's getting worse. We need to act fast. Nicholas is working on it, Francesca replied. The power of attorney paperwork just needs one more signature. I recorded everything on my phone. That night, another text came from an unknown number. Hey, it's Daniel. Got a new phone. We really need to talk about Jace's family. I have information you should know. I forwarded it to Riley. They're getting desperate, using my ex now. Holy shit, she replied. How did they even find him? Probably when they went through my laptop. Old emails. The next morning, I found Francesca in my home office, rifling through documents. Looking for something? I asked from the doorway. She jumped. Just organising. These papers were a mess. Like how you organised my emails, my photos, my entire life. Everything we've done has been for your own good, she said smoothly. You're young, inexperienced. Someone needs to manage things properly while Jace is away. And that someone should be his mother? Naturally. She smiled that artificial smile. After all, who knows better than family? I pulled out my phone and played the recording of her discussing power of attorney. The smile vanished. You've been spying on us? No, I said calmly. I've been protecting myself, in my own home. This is Jace's home. Check the deed. She froze. What? Check the deed. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and, Francesca, I want everyone's laundry out of my machine in an hour. I'm not your maid anymore. My phone buzzed. An email from my lawyer. Eviction notice ready for your signature. How soon do you want to proceed? I looked back at Francesca, still standing shocked in my office, and typed, Let's do it. Time to take out the trash. The war was entering its final phase. They just didn't know it yet. The smell of roasting garlic filled the kitchen as I prepared what I decided would be my final performance as the family cook. Carmen's birthday dinner, a perfect stage for what was coming. Everything smells wonderful, Valerie said quietly, helping me chop vegetables. But why are you doing this for them? Because, I whispered back, I want them to remember this night. Francesca swept in, rearranging my table settings. Annika, dear, you've put the water glasses on the wrong side again, and Carmen should sit at the head of the table. It's her birthday. I kept stirring the sauce. The head of the table is for the host, in their own home. Before she could respond, the doorbell rang. Nicholas's voice boomed through the house. The party has arrived. More relatives poured in. Aunts, uncles, cousins I'd never met. Francesca had invited them all without telling me. I watched them claim my space, rearrange my furniture, help themselves to my wine cellar. My phone buzzed. Riley. Thought you'd want to see this. She'd forwarded an email from Francesca to a real estate agent. Regarding the property on Oak Street, please proceed with listing preparations as discussed. We'll handle the current occupant situation shortly. My hand shook as I plated the food. They weren't just planning to control the house. They were planning to sell it. Everyone, please be seated, Francesca announced. Carmen, darling, take your place at the head. That's my seat, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. The room went quiet. Don't be ridiculous, Carmen scoffed. It's my birthday. And this is my house. I sat down firmly at the head of the table. Enjoy your dinner. The tension was delicious, better than the pasta. So, Nicholas said through a mouthful of food, Mum, about that basement apartment idea. I've got a buddy who's interested in renting. I set down my fork. What basement apartment? Oh, Francesca waved dismissively. We've been discussing converting the basement. It's wasted space, really, and the extra income would be helpful for the family. The family? I repeated. Well, yes. Since we're all living here now, we should contribute to the household expenses. She smiled that practiced smile. Nicholas has already started getting quotes for the renovation. Without asking me? Carmen rolled her eyes. Why would we need to ask? This is family property. Is it? I pulled out my phone, opened the forwarded email. Like how it's family property you're planning to sell? The colour drained from Francesca's face. I don't know what you're talking about, she stammered. Really? Should I read the email out loud? The one you sent to the realtor? Silence fell over the table. Valerie caught my eye and gave a slight nod. Maybe, I continued, we should discuss the power of attorney paperwork you've been working on too, or the way you've been intercepting my calls with Jace. That's enough, Francesca stood up. You ungrateful little... No, I cut her off. You've had your turn, months of it. Now it's mine. I looked around the table. Did any of you know they were planning to sell this house? That they've been trying to seize control of everything while my husband serves overseas? Annika, Nicholas tried his charming smile, you're misunderstanding. Am I? Tell them about the basement apartment you've already promised to your friend. Tell them about the realtor appointments you've been scheduling. Carmen slammed her hand on the table. You're ruining my birthday. You ruined my home. I stood up. But that's ending now. My phone buzzed again. Riley. Papers are ready. Want me to come over? Not yet, I typed back. Let them enjoy their last dinner here first. This is outrageous, Francesca sputtered. When Jace hears about this. When Jace hears about what? I asked sweetly. The unauthorized renovations? The attempts to sell his home? Or how about the way you've treated his wife? The other relatives began shifting uncomfortably. Some made excuses and left. Others just watched, wide-eyed as the perfect family facade cracked. I think, I said, standing up, this dinner is over. And tomorrow, we're going to have a very different kind of family meeting. I left them sitting there, surrounded by half-eaten food and shattered pretenses. In my bedroom, I pulled out the eviction notices from my desk. My phone lit up one last time. Another unknown number. Annika, it's Daniel. Francesca asked me to talk to you. Said you're having a hard time. I screenshot the message and added it to my evidence folder. They really were getting desperate. Tomorrow, they'd learn exactly how desperate they should be. Because while they'd been playing house, I'd been building a case. And now? Now it was time for the grand finale. I fell asleep to the sound of them arguing downstairs, knowing it would be one of their last nights under my roof. The locksmith arrived at 7 a.m. while the family was still sleeping. I'd spent the previous day meticulously packing their belongings. Every designer bag, every piece of jewellery, every scrap of clothing they'd scattered throughout my house. Each suitcase sat ready on the wraparound porch, tagged with names. All exterior locks? The locksmith asked quietly. Every single one, I confirmed, and I want you to disable the garage door opener. Riley arrived as he finished up, carrying a stack of papers. Everything's ready? You sure about this? Watch, I said, pulling out my phone and dialing. Hello, police non-emergency? Yes, I'd like to request an officer present for serving eviction notices, just in case. By 9 a.m. the house was stirring. I heard Carmen first, her shriek echoing through the halls. My clothes! Where are my clothes? Francesca's door flew open. What's going on? Annika! I sat calmly at the dining room table, copies of the deed and eviction notices spread before me. Riley stood behind my chair, arms crossed. Good morning, I said. Please, sit down. We need to talk. What have you done with our things? Carmen stormed in, still in her pajamas. They're outside, packed and ready to go. Nicholas appeared next, looking hungover. The garage door won't open. That's because I had it disabled. I gestured to the chairs. Sit, all of you. This is ridiculous, Francesca began, but I cut her off. No, what's ridiculous is trying to steal someone's home while their husband serves overseas. What's ridiculous is going through my private emails, intercepting my calls, and contacting my ex-boyfriend to manipulate me. I pushed the first document forward. What's ridiculous is trying to get power of attorney over property that isn't yours to control. Francesca lunged for the papers. I pulled them back smoothly. Touch me or these documents again, I said quietly, and I'll have you arrested for assault. The police are already on their way. Police? Nicholas straightened. Come on, sis. Let's not get crazy here. Crazy? I laughed. Like planning to sell my house without my knowledge. Like setting up rental agreements for my basement. Your house? Carmen scoffed. This is Jace's. I slid the deed across the table. Read it carefully. Note the date. 2 days before deployment. Note the name. Only my name. The colour drained from Francesca's face as she read. This can't be legal. Oh, but it is. My lawyer confirmed it. Twice. I pulled out the eviction notices. Just like these are legal, you have 72 hours to vacate the premises. You can't do this to family, Francesca whispered. Family? I stood up slowly. Family doesn't try to steal from each other. Family doesn't gaslight and manipulate and abuse. You're not family. You're parasites. A police car pulled up outside. Carmen ran to the window. You actually called them? Her voice cracked. I did. And if you check your phones, you'll see I've documented everything. Every conversation about selling my house, every email to realtors, every attempt to seize control. I smiled. I even recorded you discussing the power of attorney scheme. Would you like to hear it? Nicholas started backing toward the stairs. I'll just get my things. They're on the porch. Everything's packed. I even colour-coded the tags. This isn't over, Francesca hissed. Actually, it is. You have 3 choices. 1. Leave now, quietly. 2. Be escorted out by the police. 3. Be arrested for trespassing and face charges for attempted property fraud. The doorbell rang. Riley went to answer it. You'll regret this, Carmen spat. When Jace finds out, Jace knows. I pulled out my phone, showed them the email from his military lawyer, confirming receipt of all my evidence. He's known what you're capable of for years. Why do you think he transferred the house to me? The police officer entered, nodding professionally. Everything okay here? We were just leaving, Francesca said stiffly. Your belongings are on the porch, I repeated. The locks have been changed. Don't come back. One by one, they filed out. I watched through the window as they gathered their suitcases, as the officer supervised their departure, as their cars finally pulled away. Riley squeezed my shoulder. You okay? I looked around my house. My quiet, peaceful house. The house Jace had trusted me to protect. I will be. Want me to stay? No. I smiled. I want to enjoy my first night alone in my own home. After Riley left, I walked through each room, reclaiming my space. In the kitchen, I found Francesca's precious coffee maker still on the counter. I picked it up, carried it to the trash, and let it drop with a satisfying crash. Then, I made myself a perfect cup of French press coffee and sat in peaceful silence. Finally, wonderfully alone. They didn't go quietly. Of course they didn't. At exactly 6 a.m. on day 2 of the eviction notice, Francesca arrived with a lawyer. I watched through the security cameras Riley had helped me install as they pounded on my front door. We can do this one of 2 ways, her lawyer called out. Either you open the door or we'll file for an emergency injunction. I opened the door, but kept the security chain in place. Everything must go through my lawyer. You have his number. Annika, please. Francesca's voice cracked with practiced emotion. We're family. We can work this out. Like you worked out selling my house? I held up my phone, recording. Or should we discuss the power of attorney papers you were preparing? Her lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Mrs. Hunter, perhaps we should show him, I interrupted. Show your lawyer the emails about selling the property. Show him the recorded conversations about seizing control while my husband's deployed. I have copies of everything. The lawyer turned to Francesca. You didn't mention any of this. She's lying, Francesca hissed. She manipulated Jace, turned him against us. I have proof of everything, I said calmly. Would you like to see it? Before they could respond, 2 more cars screeched into my driveway. Carmen burst out of one, Nicholas from the other. Mum, Carmen shouted, she's changed the Wi-Fi password. I couldn't help but laugh. That's your emergency, the Wi-Fi. My gaming accounts were logged in, Nicholas yelled. I lost all my progress. Not my problem. I started to close the door, but Francesca's hand shot through the gap. You ungrateful little witch, she snarled, mask finally slipping. After everything we've done for you. Done for me? I pushed the door against her hand. You mean like going through my private emails? Intercepting my calls with Jace? Trying to steal my home? It's not your home, Carmen screamed. It's Jace's. Actually, a new voice said, it's legally hers. We all turned. Marcus, my lawyer, stood at the bottom of the porch steps, briefcase in hand. Riley stood beside him, phone raised, recording everything. I have copies of the deed, Marcus continued, properly filed and registered before Mr. Hunter's deployment. I also have documentation of multiple attempts by Mrs. Hunter Sr. to illegally seize control of the property. He turned to Francesca's lawyer. Would you like to see the evidence of attempted fraud? Francesca's lawyer backed away. I think I need to review some things with my client. You have, I called after him, exactly 24 hours left on the eviction notice. After that, it becomes criminal trespassing. You can't do this, Carmen was crying now. Where are we supposed to go? Not my problem, I repeated. Just like my housework wasn't your problem. My cooking wasn't your problem. My marriage wasn't your problem. Nicholas tried his charming smile. Come on, sis, we can work something out. Maybe a rental agreement? No, I met his eyes, and I'm not your sis. This will destroy Jace, Francesca played her last card, when he sees how you've treated his family. My phone buzzed. Perfect timing. I held it up, showing them the email that had just arrived. From Jace subject. I knew you'd take care of them. Want me to read it out loud? I offered. Francesca lunged forward, trying to grab my phone. The security chain snapped tight. Assault, Marcus called out. That's assault on camera. Should I call the police? You have 24 hours, I said, closing the door firmly. Use them wisely. Through the security cameras, I watched them leave. Francesca practically dragged by her lawyer. Carmen crying dramatically, Nicholas trying to sweet-talk Riley, who gave him the finger. Well, Marcus said, reviewing the footage, that'll make excellent evidence if they try anything else. They will, Riley predicted. You know they will. She was right. Over the next 24 hours, they tried everything. Fake medical emergencies, threats of legal action, flying monkeys in the form of distant relatives calling to guilt-trip me. I blocked every number, saved every message, documented every attempt. When the final hour approached, I had the police waiting. They arrived with nothing but their personal belongings. Everything else was still in the suitcases I'd packed. This isn't over, Francesca said as the police escorted her to her car. Actually, I smiled, it is. And, Francesca, the next time you try to steal from a military family, remember this moment. I watched their cars disappear down the street. Riley handed me a glass of wine. To Karma, she said. To Karma, I agreed. My phone buzzed one last time. Another email from Jace. Proud of you, babe. Give them hell. I love you. I looked around my peaceful, quiet house. Don't worry, I whispered. I already did. The sound of boots on the front porch made my heart stop. I'd been repainting the living room, erasing every trace of Francesca's improvements, when I heard that familiar stride. I dropped the paint roller and ran. Jace stood in the doorway, duffel bag at his feet, 3 weeks earlier than expected. His eyes swept the house, taking in the changes, before landing on me. "Surprise!" he said softly. We crashed into each other. He smelled like aircraft fuel and desert wind, and I couldn't stop touching his face, making sure he was real. "You're early," I managed. "Mission parameters changed." He looked around again. "So did things here, I see." I stepped back, suddenly uncertain. "Jace, about your family." "Stop." He took my hands. "I got every email, every video, every scrap of evidence you sent my lawyer. You did exactly what I hoped you would. You're not angry?" He laughed. "Angry? Babe, I'm impressed. You did what I never could. You stood up to them. Finally showed them there are consequences." My phone buzzed. Speaking of consequences. "Your mother's been trying to reach you," I said. "She's called 30 times since I told her you were coming home." "I know. She's been blowing up my phone too." He pulled out his cell, showed me the missed calls. "She wants to explain her side before you poison me against them." And nothing. I blocked her number." He walked into the living room, nodding at the fresh paint. "Green. I like it." "Jace!" I followed him. "They're your family." "No." He turned, face serious. "You're my family. They're just people who share my DNA and think that gives them the right to take whatever they want." A car door slammed outside. Through the window, I saw Francesca marching up our walkway. "Right on cue," Jace muttered. The doorbell rang. Then again, and again. "Jace!" Francesca's voice carried through the door. "Sweetheart, please, let me explain." He looked at me. "Together?" I nodded. We opened the door. Francesca burst into tears at the sight of her son. "Oh, baby," she reached for him. "Thank God you're home. The things she's done." "You mean protecting our home?" Jace stepped back from her reach. "Or exposing your attempts to steal it." "That's not—" "We were trying to help." "By selling our house?" I asked. "By trying to get power of attorney?" "You don't understand," she pleaded. "We only wanted—" "Control," Jace finished, "like always. But here's what you need to understand, Mom. I knew what you'd try. I knew you'd see my deployment as an opportunity. That's why I signed the house over to Annika." Francesca's face hardened. "She manipulated you." "No," he cut her off. You tried to manipulate her, like you've manipulated everyone your whole life. But it didn't work this time, did it? We're your family." "Not anymore." Jace's voice was quiet but firm. "You lost that right when you tried to steal from my wife, when you tried to use my service against my family." "Jace, please." "Goodbye, Mum." He started to close the door. "Wait!" She pulled out an envelope. "I have proof. Emails between them, Annika and her ex-boyfriend Daniel. They were plotting—" "You mean the ex-boyfriend you contacted?" I laughed. "Check the timestamps on those emails. Check who reached out first. Better yet, check his police statement about how you offered him money to cause problems in my marriage." Francesca stumbled back. "How did you—" "Daniel has more integrity than you," I said. "He showed me everything. That evidence is with our lawyer too." Jace closed the door in his mother's face. We listened to her cry, plead, and finally leave. "You okay?" I asked him. He pulled me close. "Better than okay. I'm proud of you, and I'm home." That night, as we lay in bed, my phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. I showed it to Jace. "This is Carmen. Mum's a mess. This is all your fault." Hope you're happy. Jace took my phone, typed, "We are," then blocked the number. "They'll keep trying," I said. "Let them." He kissed my forehead. "We've got security cameras, lawyers, and each other. They can't hurt us anymore." I snuggled closer. The house feels different now. Peaceful. Because it's ours again. Just ours. My phone buzzed one last time. "Riley, wine and celebration dinner tomorrow? Now that your warrior's home?" I smiled, typing back, "Yes, at our house. Our peaceful, drama-free house." Jace read over my shoulder. "Drama-free sounds perfect." And it was. Finally, wonderfully, it was.